was like something off Sopranos, and we just showed through to a back room with me and Eminem. What was funny, years later, people sort of half remember that story, and they're like, didn't you get the listeners to decide your daughter's name? No. Changed my life because it was such an astonishing thing to do.
Hi everyone, welcome to Tracks of My Years, where every week we discover something about our very special guest through 10 tracks that they have chosen for Tracks of My Years. And this week, it's someone who is very familiar to our Radio 2 audience, a person who many people admire because of her work in radio and, of course, television, but someone who has raised millions for children in need. I am talking about our brand new BBC Radio 2 breakfast show host, Sara Cox.
Hello, Vernon Kay.
Welcome, Sarah.
It's hard to take it seriously because I'm just used to normally just chatting to you when we bump into each other. So seeing you do your job, you're really good at it.
Well, I'm trying. I'm still learning. You're one of the
Me
people
too,
that
aren't
kind
we
of,
all?
you laid the red carpet for everyone else to. You kind of. Well, let's get into it. We just heard Gloria, Gaynor, I Will Survive. But I will pick up with this first.
Yeah.
You're one of the first proper Northerners who kind of got into telly. Our generation, kind of like myself and Paddy and everyone else from Bolton in particular, can look up to.
Yeah, I dug the tunnel and left a trail for you. I guess with like sort of 1994, 95 for the Girlie Show. I mean, Terry Christian was doing his stuff on The Word before that, and I think he was so mank that there was no going back after that. I think people are like, okay, accents are fine now. But I'm glad I've gifted the nation Vernon Kay and Paddy McGuinness.
Well, I'm sure there's many, many more as well who will admit that you were an inspiration.
I mean, a little reference to Mark Radcliffe as well.
Of course.
Amiss of us not to mention him, of course, the actual, king of Bolton.
Yeah, exactly. Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. Why have you picked that to kick off your Tracks of My Years?
Well, I'm the youngest of 5, Vernon, and we lived in a farm. My dad's still there now. And I shared a bedroom with my 2 sisters, and I have 2 brothers as well. And I just have this really vivid memory of stomping up and down the bedroom, giving a full-on Vegas performance in my 90, 6 or 7 maybe, and my 2 sisters fully encouraging it because it must have been quite funny to see this wonky-legged, big foreheaded little sprite stomping around in the bedroom back and forth, giving a great big fabulous performance. And so it's a song that whenever I hear it, I am right back there. On that carpet, on that little farm and with my family.
We know that you're a big horse fan.
Yes.
Very horsey. Did all that stem from the farm? It's an obvious question because I assume it did, but life on the farm isn't easy, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, nobody ever becomes a farmer to make pots of money. And my dad's a beef farmer. He's still there now, but it was an amazing upbringing, though. We were lucky to kind of, on one side we had a housing estate and on the other side we had all our fields. So we had the best of both worlds. I could still go off and meet my pals on my bike, but also I just had this sort of slightly dangerous playground and, barn to go and play in and jump off bales and stuff. But no, it was, and the horsey stuff comes from that because we had Muffin, who was, she was like a barrel, this pony. She was as wide as she was long, and she had a little foal born on August 1st that my mum named Augustus, and he was the love of my life, my first love really. Before any boys came along, it was all about Gus.
Oh, bless.
I used to feed him Paula mints out of my mouth.
No wonder he fell in love with you.
It doesn't work on boys, weirdly. They just look at you funny.
On a farm, you have to have a great work ethic. Did that rub off on you?
I think so. Seeing my mum. I mean, I think my work ethic definitely comes from my mum, because once we'd left the farm, my parents divorced when I was like 6 or 7, and me and my sister, we moved down the road in a little council house over the way from my nana. You know those little council estates where you've got various aunties and nanas all on the same sort of street. It's kind of nice. Community, it's lovely. And I was, as my granddad would say, a cock stride from the farm. So I was up at the farm loads because Gus the little pony was there. But I saw my mum, throughout all my life, I saw my mum work really hard whether she was holding down 2 or 3 jobs, whether it was cleaning jobs or being an Avon lady, and then eventually they got into the licensing trade. Again, another tough business to be running a conservative club and to be running pubs. She was a landlady for many years at the Pineapple in Bolton on Blackburn Road.
Very well. Mm-hmm. Used to clean the phone boxes opposite, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've probably passed each other at some point, I bet.
Yeah.
So she's always worked really hard. So I definitely get my work ethic off my mum, I think.
Has that served you well?
Well, I've got the Radio 2 breakfast show, so
there you go.
It's taken a while, but yeah, definitely. I think so, yeah. I love work. I love being busy. I love being needed, when I'm needed to be somewhere. I love it.
We're going to hear Wham next, and I'm Your Man. Why have you picked this?
I was going to marry George Michael. I'd even practiced the signature and everything of Sarah Joanne Michael. And it never happened, sadly. I did get to meet him a few times. I met him at Radio 1. Now, this time stamps this tale. I met him in the smoking room.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that?
Yes,
downstairs
I do.
in the basement?
I think it was just about to disappear when I arrived.
Yeah, it was quite busy. There's a lot of comings and goings in that smoking room.
And it never had an extractor fan.
No,
just
it was
an open
so
window.
Disgusting.
It was weird.
It's so grim.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've not smoked for years, but I was in there, have a casual ciggy during the breakfast show. It's so disgusting. When I was doing Radio 1 breakfast, and I was in there, and he was in there having a smoke, and it was before I think he would have been going on to Joe Wiley's show, who was on after breakfast, and I always remember he told me that he liked my bag. I was like, yes, George Michael likes my bag. Will you marry me? But we never. But I just loved him. I loved their music, and I just thought there was just something so clean and safe about George Michael when you were a little girl and his music and looking at his videos. He put on an art exhibition, and I went along to that. This was a couple of years after. And we got all invited back to George's, and it was a bit of a party going on, and everyone had had a couple of sherries, and Pepsi was at the fridge from Pepsi and Shirley, and I thought it was hilarious to be shouting over, Pepsi, get us a Coke, thinking it was fantastic. Nice. Well, like she's never heard that before. Yeah. She was like rolling her eyes. Shortly after, George gave me a lift home.
Did he really?
Yeah, gave me a lift in his Range.
Wow.
Dropped me off in Tufnell Park.
Everybody knows where the good people go, but where we're going, baby, ain't no such word as baby. I'm your man. Don't you know who I am? Baby, I'm your man. No, you bet if you're gonna do it right. Do it for me. You're gonna do it, yeah, right.
Fluffy clouds, little fluffy clouds, little fluffy clouds, little fluffy clouds,
The skies like when you were young.
They went on forever. We lived in Arizona, and the skies always had little fluffy clouds.
The Orb and Little Fluffy Clouds. I can't say it. And just for rhyme and reason, right, we pre-record Tracks in My Ears. That's the third time I've tried to say Little Fluffy Clouds. I'm obviously having flashbacks from the great times I had when it was on in the background. That's what it is.
Say no more. We just have to say it. It was... I'm not even going to attempt to say it now. That song just reminds me of a great time. It was sort of a few years where I went from being sort of 15 and 16 and raving. I was trying to think what song could I choose. There was a few in there, 808 Stay and with MC Tunes, The Only Rhyme That Bites.
The Only Rhyme That Bites.
And then Enjoy and Anthem, all great songs. But this one sort of spans a longer period for me where I think it reminds me of going out and going to like Angels in Burnley,
Wow.
Monroe's in Blackburn, Pleasure Drome in Farnworth. And they had to call it Drome, I think, because Frankie Goes to Hollywood would have had issues with them calling it the Pleasure Dome. I was quite naughty. Like, I was out with my best mate. We'd have our thick black tights on, little denim shorts, red puffer, kicker boots, and we would be fully fibbing to our mothers about where we were. They thought we were at each other's houses.
The classic.
We weren't. Yeah, the classic. We were either underage drinking in Rubens.
In Lee?
In Lee!
No way!
I swear we must have been out at the same time together.
Used to love Rubens.
Rubens, yeah. Oh, Taboo and Lemonade.
Yes!
And I would occasionally also, Vernon, be getting lifts from boys in their Scooby-Doo. What's that?
The Subaru.
XR2.
Yeah, all right.
And go to the Zone in Blackpool.
Wow.
And
You're right, Raver.
go raving, yeah. So it reminds me of that, and it reminds me also of my misspent youth with a lovely bunch of lads in Phil's attic. And that was higher up Blackburn Road, and his mum ran a nursery, a day nursery for little kids, obviously. And the contrast between, you know, the beautiful innocence of the children downstairs and then us, right, you know.
Stick your mixtape in upstairs.
Upstairs, yeah, listening to the Orb, playing Street Fighter 3 with Blanca and Ken Hadouken. All of that stuff going on up there.
You ended up modelling in South Korea, is that right?
Yes.
How did all that come about?
Well, I was so happy in Bolton, but my sister Yvonne had always travelled. And she was like, you know, you need to get out of Bolton and you need to see the world a little bit. And I was like, are you joking? We've just got to drive through McDonald's. Like, why do I need to leave? This is like paradise. But she was working in Paris, I think for the electricity board, and she said, come over. And I went and stayed with her. And she'd take me out for like food, and she'd make me like have a little sip of red wine and then eat like a piece of beef. And I'd see the sort of connection between the two. And she was just trying to give me a bit of culture, basically. She went to work every day and I'd be off loose in Paris on my own, age sort of 18. It was after A-levels. I'm thinking, oh, God, what am I going to do? I don't really want to go to uni. What am I going to do? And I could just go off with a map and some francs in my pocket. No phone, obviously. Eating a pain chocolat, using my GCSE French to ask for a pain chocolat. And the Parisians would just reply in English. And I got scouted in a shop one day.
By a French agency?
Yeah, but well, a guy who in this little boutique who was like, excuse the accent, I'm going to go for it anyway. It was like, your look is very good at the moment. And I was like, he's going to shove me in a van and murder me. But he didn't. He did connect me up with Manchester Model Agency.
Wow.
And so when I got back home, I went in and saw the wonderful Mavis. Very, very glamorous. Always told us not to sleep with more than one pillow or you'd get a wrinkly neck. Stayed with me, that. And that's where the modelling career started.
Brilliant.
I say career, use that word lightly.
But to be then thrust into South Korea,
Yeah.
girl from Bolton, what a life-changing moment that is.
It was insane. I went to Milan for a couple of months. I went to New York for 3 months, which I loved. And then to South Korea twice for a total of about 5 months. And we lived in Seoul, in Itaewon, which was quite a westernised park. So it was quite near the army base, the US Army base. And I met a woman there. At first, I was with 2 Mormon girls from Hawaii. We didn't have a lot in common. But then arrived this vision with short cropped hair and legs up to her ears called Claire from Whitefield.
Are you serious?
Serious. And she walked in and I was like, yes, you know, someone like me a bit. And I said to her, my first words, which she's since got for me on a mug, was, do you smoke and do you like coffee? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I've got some fags in my room and you can share me coffee. And that's when a 33-year friendship began.
That is superb.
And she's one of the loves of my life. She's my soulmate. I love her so much.
Oh, brilliant. And then it escalated, you came back, and then you auditioned for the...
Yeah, I got sent home for...
Right.
I'd put on a bit of timber. I'd
Right.
put on a little bit of
the
weight.
agency sent you
The
home?
agency
Oh,
sent me
okay.
home for bad behaviour.
Well,
But it was great timing because I would have missed the Girlie Show casting, another sliding doors moment.
Yeah.
If I hadn't put on weight by non-stop eating hard-boiled eggs because I was... This is the glamour, because I was homesick. Just going getting delicious like fried rice from the stalls on the street and eating loads of hard-boiled eggs.
gosh,
And,
isn't it funny?
you know, missing a casting because I was hungover or whatever.
Yeah.
They were like, Sarah, you got to go home.
We're going to hear another big track about your travels from Snoop Dogg and What's My Name?
So, yeah, this is me and Claire at a club in South Korea, in Seoul, and we would start at either end of quite a sizable dance floor and dance towards each other in a hip-hop style. And it just reminds me of we just thought we were so cool, the absolute bee's knees, and we would dance to Snoop and absolutely love him. And years later, when I was doing the Radio 1 breakfast show, and I asked the listeners to name my new basset hound, my little puppy that I'd got, they decided that my dog was going to be called Snoop, D-O-double-G. What was funny, years later, people sort of half remember that story, and they're like, didn't you get the listeners to decide your daughter's name? No. I'm mad. Can you imagine? Like, no, my dog, not my child. I wasn't that much of an idiot.
What's my name? Yeah. It's the bound to the wild, creeping and crawling, Yiggy yes yolin', Snoop Doggy Dogg in the house with the pound like every day, and I'm right back up in you with Dr. Dre and
We've just heard the Charlatans and One to Another. Charlatans, obviously, big Manchester band, but why have you picked One to Another in particular from them?
I love the Charlatans. It really takes me back to a time where I was doing the Girlie Show, and I'd started to go out with this DJ lad who was nice enough, actually. He was one of the good ones. And he was the tour DJ for the Charlatans. So we hung out with the lads quite a lot. And it was a really ace time of being just in a flat in London. I was doing the Girlie Show. I had a couple of quid in my pocket. I had no responsibilities, and we were just hanging out with the band. So going to loads of Charlatans gigs, going to loads of club nights because they DJ'd all over. It was just an ace time. Just feels like kicking up my heels.
When you were doing the Girlie Show and it was your debut on screen, I know you'd been in front of camera with modelling and stuff like that, but then that audition, that screen test for the Girlie Show, did you realise how important that would be at the time?
Didn't have a clue.
Really?
Isn't it weird, those sliding door moments?
Yeah.
I mean, I was modelling, I was lounging around on my mum's couch, refusing to do any housework because I just painted my nails and I was a top model. Obviously I wasn't. I'd been on some Boots packaging for tights. So basically my pelvis area might have been famous for 2 minutes. And this casting came up for something called the Girlie Show. I wasn't going to go into Bolton because to get from Bolton to Manchester it cost a couple of quid. But luckily my mum lent me the train fare.
So the screen test was in Manchester, was it?
It was in Manchester,
Was
at
it?
Manchester Modelling Agency. And then they had a little catwalk that was in this room, and it was a carpeted catwalk in dusky pink. Everything was pink. If you'd have sat still long enough, you'd have ended up carpeted in pink. It was just pink. And we all trooped out on this catwalk to go and sit and talk to this woman who had a camcorder called Esther, who turned out to be one of the producers of the Girlie Show. And I went last. I was so nervous. And I just whipped my airbrush out of my bag, and I thought I'll use that as a mic, like I do when I'm singing along to pop songs in my bedroom. Luckily, they thought, oh, we'll give her a go.
Did you realise the brouhaha that it would cause? And did you realise everything that was going to come with it?
I feel like the beauty and also the hazard of being 21 and being thrust onto a TV show, you'll remember yourself, like, you're fearless. You don't overthink things. There's no social media for a start. It's paparazzi.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, such a big difference. So nobody could really, if they thought you were an idiot, they'd have to try quite hard to reach you. Oh, they'd just shout it at you in the street. But, so you could kind of be in your own little bubble, and also you were fearless. And also I had nothing to lose. I think it's as you get older and once you get into your career, you've got more to lose because you actually realise you love your job and you want to get better at it. The problem was that the press, and mainly men, didn't really know how to label these young women who were going out having a good time, so they just extended the word lad into ladettes. And actually what it was about, it was more about we were young women who there was no shame attached to us wanting to have a good time and to just going out and to spending the money that we've earned, you know, pre-kids, pre-mortgage, pre-grown up, just having a good time and celebrating in that. But it's interesting with the Girlie Show, it really did put me in a certain space. And then to some extent, the Radio and Breakfast Show as well, as a bit of a party girl. I've been in showbiz for like 30 years this year. And I felt a little bit like the second decade of my career, I spent it apologising or making up for the first decade a little bit, trying to rebrand myself. Because I think for a while, TV commissioners were a little bit like, well, she's not got any depth. She's not really that warm. She's just quite silly and a little bit, you know, believe it or not, used to be edgy, Vernon. I mean, can you remember that? And so I felt the second decade was very much me being like, no, I'm nice. I'm okay. I stayed at Radio 1, for which I'm really eternally grateful for, up until 2013, where I then got a foot in the door at Radio 2. And then other things happened, like I was given the chance to host Children in Need's special Sewing Bee episode, and I loved it. And the same company who make Great Pottery Throwdown.
Nice.
And that for me was huge because that was a real reframe and it was like really family-friendly TV.
I guess
it
for
was
the viewer, it's
BBC.
like, wow, look at Sara Cox.
Yeah, like, oh, she's grown up a bit. Oh, is she? But the people who'd listened to me on radio knew that I was all of those things, knew that I was nice and friendly and warm and could be sensible occasionally. But it was that TV show that really got me back on, onto BBC Two. I really found a home there. So I'm really grateful.
There you go.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Vernon.
Thank you very much, Sara Cox.
Lovely to hear you this morning.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to hear you, my Boltonian sister.
I am.
Did you enjoy your Radio 1 time? It sounds like you did.
I loved it. Radio 1 was just, I mean, again, completely fearless starting the breakfast show on Radio 1. People used to be like, can't wait, you're terrified. No, I was having a great time. And it was a lot of fun, wasn't it? It was a real giggle being there. And it was during the time where, record companies had money to burn. They'd be like, oh, Missy Elliott's got a new single out. So, Sarah, do you want to come to Miami and interview Missy Elliott? Yes, please. Okay. All those, that's changed now. That doesn't happen anymore. There was so much money in music and records and that. And similar with fly me to New York to go and interview Eminem and then going out for dinner with him and his crew afterwards. This Italian restaurant where we walked in and it was like somewhat off Sopranos, and we just showed through to a back room with me and Eminem. And at the end, they had this spinning plates thing, a bit like a Lazy Susan, and you never think of Eminem and Lazy Susans. Again, another interesting Venn diagram. And everyone put their credit cards on there, the black cards and the gold cards, and there's me with Minat West or whatever. What?
Yeah.
And they spun it, but luckily it didn't land on me to pick up the bill.
You mentioned Missy Elliott. You mentioned Miami. You've picked Get Your Freak On.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I interviewed Missy maybe 5 or 6 times. Whenever she was in the UK, she'd come over. We'd have a real laugh. I loved her. She was great vibes. Her music was like nothing we'd ever heard before. It sort of bridged the gap between rap and hip-hop and dance music, and just together, she just seemed to explode out of nowhere. And that song, I mean, still today, the production on it and just her lyrics, I think she's just absolutely mind-blowing. I think she's incredible. I love her.
Mississippi putting it down. I'm the hottest round. I told y'all can't stop me now. Listen to me now. I'm lasting 20 rounds. And if you want me, then come on get me now. Is you with me now? Then biggie bounce. I know you dig the way I switch my style. Holla, holla. People sing around. Now people gather round. Now people jump around. Get your freak on. Get your freak on.
He said, what you doing snooping around my place? Then I saw a smile come across his face. So I smiled back and I told him who I was. He said, come on in and pull you up a chair. You might as well since you're already here. And he said, you can call me Joshua. Joshua, what you doing living here all alone? Joshua.
You've chosen Dolly Parton, Joshua, which we've just heard. Why have you picked Dolly Parton?
So Dolly Parton I listened to a lot when I was pregnant with Lola. And she just brought me such joy. I wasn't really in the happiest of places. I was very happy to be pregnant and I was looking forward to becoming a mum for the first time. But it was during my practice marriage, as I like to call it. And so Dolly just brought me great solace and some great tunes. And I remember dancing around the kitchen, heavily pregnant with Lola. But she's called Lola because of the Kinks song.
Right.
She walked up to me and she asked me to dance. I asked her her name and in a dark brown voice she said Lola. L-O-L-A, Lola. La 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 Lola.
When Lola arrived and I was a mum for the first time, whenever I played Dolly Parton, she would settle. I mean, she was a good baby anyway. But if she was just sort of having a little grumble in a Moses basket in the kitchen, I would pop on my Dolly Parton CD and, 9 to 5, Coat of Many Colours, Joshua, she would immediately settle. And I think it's because she just heard it so much when she was in my belly. So I've just always loved Dolly. And I got to interview her about her amazing charity where she gives books to children who wouldn't normally be able to get their hands on books. And she was it was on a screen, sadly. She wasn't there in front of me. Probably for the best, to be honest, because I would have just been a mess. But I just love her. She's just so strong and so iconic, and her music. And she's just so, she just writes. She just is an absolute machine. She's written so many incredible, huge
And very honest
tunes.
as well.
Yeah, and honest about, heartbreak and her sadnesses and stuff. But Joshua is good because it just also kind of just makes me laugh because it's quite a random song. I've played it a couple of times on radio too. And we always get quite a good response to it. There was a big black dog sitting out in the yard and it looked at me and I swallowed hard. It just makes me laugh. It's also very much of its time because it's about a young lady who's walking through the woods and she ends up shacking up with a guy who lives on his own in this in some shack in the woods. All turns out beautifully though, but not recommended, of course. But yeah, I just think she's incredible. And it's also quite funny when I moved from Radio 1 to Radio 2. When you're at Radio 1, you've got to just still pretend you're young, even though you're mid-30s, because you'd occasionally get texts from the listeners going, will you get off my radio? You are so old. And you'd be like 34 and you're like, oh my God. But my ringtone used to be like drum and bass when I was at Radio 1, or it'd be Akon and Smack That. And then when I moved to Radio 2, I changed it to Dolly.
Wow.
And Here You Come Again. And that was a real I can be myself now.
Yeah.
I was only knocking 40 or whatever, but
nice.
I can be my age.
You've chosen a big tune from Carly Simon. You've chosen Nobody Does It Better. Why have you picked this?
Oh, don't, Vernon. I'll just immediately cry. Because I wasn't looking, but somehow he found me, and that was Ben, my husband.
Go on, just tell us if you can.
Oh, gosh. I'm just I just got given a second chance, and I just love him so much. And we're a great team. I'm really studying your trainer here because I can't quite look
I'm going
at
as well.
Oh, God, setting each other off here.
Yeah.
He was, he was just to suddenly have someone who was not only kind and funny and hot and great and absolute vibes, but also just strong and supportive and my other half. And, when I was whoever was on high or low career-wise, we just had each other's back and we still
just brought
do.
stability, did it?
Yeah.
Nice.
And
where did you meet? Where did he see you?
We met at Glastonbury.
Nice.
Backstage bar.
That's a tricky one to carry a relationship on after Glastonbury, isn't it?
I know, but we managed it
Yeah,
somehow.
bravo.
You know what I love, Vernon? We were in a backstage bar and he said, and this is at Glastonbury where, cider, lager. He was like, should we get a bottle of champagne? And I thought,
hello.
I thought, hello, that's a bit fancy. So we ordered this champagne and I felt him, he watched me. He kept an eye on me because I was quite famous then. Like Glastonbury, people are quite messy. And, I was still on Radio 1 quite a bit and in the public eye. And I could feel him just keeping an eye on me, that I wasn't getting bothered by people. You know, he was protective, even though we'd only known each other for a few hours.
Yeah.
I'd never had that before. Before that, I'd been left by guys when we'd be in a club. They'd go off through the crowd and I'd be on my own in the middle of Bugdo or Cream or whatever, just be like, hello. And I just had someone looking out for me. And I was like, there's a great Yiddish word, a mensch, which just means a good, solid guy. And that's what Ben is.
Nice.
And, you know, solid sounds a bit boring. It's annoyingly funny as well. He's nearly as funny as me.
I love it. What does your date night look like when you and Ben go out and have time to yourself?
Well, Ben doesn't drink and I kind of don't drink. I don't know if it's forever, but certainly. I used to think that the first 5 minutes of any social occasion were helped by the first drink. It's not. It's helped by being there for 5 minutes, and after that you're actually fine, even if you have a lemonade or a ginger beer. The kids take the mickey out of me. Do you have ginger beer? That's my vibe now. But I guess for, you know, date night for me and Ben, I mean, I hate to say it, we're just real homebodies.
Yeah.
We just love being at home and just cuddling up and watching something.
Nice. It makes a big difference though. If you like ships in the wind during the day, you know what I mean? Just cruising along, just to sit and just catch up.
Yeah, just having time together. I mean, what we used to do was, because Ben, you know, we both used to party quite a bit when we first met. And then obviously we've settled down, and we used to spend 1 till 1 a.m. You'd get back from a party, you'd look at your watch again, it was 3 a.m. and we've been talking nonsense on the couch. We obviously don't do that anymore. But what we do now is we'll go for a big dog walk on a Sunday morning, and that's when we reconnect and when we talk then, because we've just got a bit of brain space. So that's our middle of the night talking nonsense.
Yeah, lovely.
Which we would get really deep in the early hours talking, you know. But now we do it while we walk in the dogs on a Sunday morning. I've chose Carly Simon because of the line, I wasn't looking, but somehow you found me, because I'm just... Oh my God. Every time I try to say it, because I'm just so grateful that he found me, because I don't know where I'd be without him. We've got 2 beautiful kids together, and he is the most brilliant stepdad to Lola, and he was right from the start. And, you know, there's nothing more attractive in a man than being a good dad. Puts me to shame, really, because I'm so busy. He just, you know, he works from home, so he can be there a lot, and he's just, you know, nobody does it better.
Nice.
Nobody does it better. Though sometimes I wish someone could. Nobody does it quite the way you do. Why'd you have to be so good?
Sarah, we've just heard Beyonce, Love on Top, and this ties us into the last track we heard, which was Carly Simon. But this is your wedding day now, right?
This is my wedding day at a hotel just over the road from NBH. Obviously, all the Northerners came down for it. My mum and her husband had come up on the train the day before with my dad and his partner.
Oh, wow.
So they'd all travelled together. It sounds lovely, but my mum's partner Alan led everyone astray and made them all drink lots of red wine on the train. So the next day, my poor dad Len, who's not a big drinker at all, I think he felt a little bit rough. I was very nervous, and the service itself was down in the sort of lower floors of this hotel. And everybody was in, and it was a lovely warm day, and everybody was all sat there waiting for me to come, and I was late because neither me nor my dad thought to press the button on the lift. We were just both stood there in our own worlds, Dad feeling a bit delicate, me sort of nervous and emotional in my wedding dress, just stood looking at this lift waiting for it to come. None of us had pressed the button. So we get in the lift together, and when we get down, everybody, it was quite a small room and we were all packed in there. And because they'd been waiting for ages, because I hadn't pressed the button on the lift, the music started playing and it's Etta James, at last. And everybody laughs because they're like, at last, like she's here. Do you know what I mean? So as I walk in, I just hear a few like chuckles and I'm like, have I got something down my dress? Have I got odd shoes on? At last, my love has come along. Beyonce, Love on Top, is the song that played us out after we'd been pronounced husband and wife. And we'd smashed a glass in a serviette and done a bit of that in our mega mix. And we headed back down this little aisle. And then it was lovely because we didn't party. We did a party another day, which was a proper rave up for loads of old mates and stuff. And my sister, I think my sister and my mum took the kids on. So me and Ben stayed for our wedding night in this lovely posh hotel. And we watched Lethal Weapon 2. And we ordered room service and I got a kebab. And it was the most wonderful wedding night ever. Just watching telly in bed and having a kebab.
Oh, fab. We're going to talk about the BBC Radio 2 breakfast show. The Sara Cox breakfast show on Radio 2, which starts on Monday the 6th of July. Another huge, giant stepping stone for you, Sarah.
Feels like the biggest. This is the biggest
It's the real deal, this one.
Yeah, I'm at the peak, guys. I'm at the peak. Pop my flag in. I'm open to stick my flag in there and make it a great show. And it's been the dream for a long time. But I have said the 7 years on Teatime have been brilliant.
Yeah. You've really owned that slot, haven't you?
I feel, thank
you.
you.
Really built a community.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like I really, really have.
Yeah.
And I feel like...
I think you've made it easier for people like myself who have joined the network because you speak from the heart. You tell it as it is, and I think your listenership really embraced that.
Well, so I mean,
for you being you,
your show's so massive, so they do with you as well. And I know from listening to you as well, there's never that. You'll never find with us that rictus grin where something's going wrong, but we're not saying, and we're just trying to pretend everything's fine.
Oh no.
You've just got to be honest. You've just got to be yourself, and I think listeners, I think listeners kind of love the bumps along the road. I think there's
many of them on our show.
Yeah. I mean, very much with Teatime, the stars of the show, the listeners were at the front and centre of every feature, everything that we did. And I definitely want to take that to breakfast with me. I need them. Because, they're hilarious.
Yeah.
But there'll just be some added Hollywood in there. But most importantly, as important, I want to make people laugh.
Yeah,
perfect. I just want to jolly them up, boot them out of the house and on with their day, get them warmed up for you.
Well, there you go. Thank you. We're going to play Pink Floyd and Wish You Were Here now. And this is a track that you align with your Children in Need challenge. Which I know from experience is really emotional. So the first question I'm going to ask you off the bat is, do you still get emotional now thinking about what you achieved and the people that you met along the way? Because I do 2 years later. Yeah,
I feel like it's only just sinking in,
It doesn't sink in.
Yeah. Oh, does it not?
No.
Good to know, buddy. Good to know. Yeah. Okay. Because I feel like at the time you're so focused on training and on just finishing and not letting anyone down that it takes months and months and I look back now and I'm like, that was the most extraordinary thing to be asked to do, to be trusted with. It was a real privilege. At the time, I joked, it was a painful privilege. Of course it was. It hurt a lot. But just the people that you meet along the way and the difference, the total amount that Radio 2 listeners donated, the final amount is over £11.7 million now, which is going to help so many tens of thousands of children are going to feel the impact of all those donations. And as you know yourself, you train, you have a big team, a lot of support, but it's in the darkest moments where you're in your own head on day 3 or 4. That's when the music comes in, and that's where Pink Floyd, funnily enough, this song, just provided for me one of the most memorable out-of-body sort of moments. Because even though you've got support vehicles in front and behind you, there was one moment where I just felt like I was the last woman on earth. There was no one by the side of the road, which was quite rare. It was open countryside. It was bleak with a grey sort of, rolling clouds. And I felt like it was after like a zombie apocalypse and I was the only person left on earth. Even though I had a support car in front of the BBC filming me, in my head I was like, and that opening, that bit of guitar that comes in, got goosebumps now, just came on and I was just like, I think for the rest of my life, I'll just remember this moment of being like, I don't think I'll ever do anything bigger and more momentous or more life-changing than this, So, yeah, thank you for every penny, every quid. You've changed children's lives and you've changed my life because it was such an astonishing thing to do.
Sarah, you don't need it from us at Radio 2, but all the best. We wish you a long and prosperous stint on the BBC Radio 2 Breakfast Show. It's going to be cracking, we know it is, and it starts on Monday.
It starts on Monday, 6:30, bright and early. I can't wait for our first handover because I hate a build-up. I'm so bad with a build-up. So I'm looking forward. I look forward to it every day, but the 6th on Monday, 9:30, I'm looking forward to, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Can't wait.
Did they get you to train?